One thing I hear a lot is that you don't need inspiration to write, or that you shouldn't need or rely on inspiration to write. That the true writer, the system is to show up every day, regardless of whether inspiration is there, and then trust that inspiration will show up. Or really, I mean, it doesn't even matter if inspiration shows up, right? You treat it like a job, and you show up and you get the writing done. And I do think that that is true as a process. However, I want to kind of look at specifically the idea that you don't need inspiration to write a little more closely. I don't necessarily think that's what everybody is saying when they say don't rely on inspiration, but I think in some cases it's gotten translated into this idea that you don't need inspiration. Um, or rather, that don't rely on inspiration has become you don't need inspiration. And I actually think that inspiration remains and will always be one of the most crucial aspects of the creative process, and that you actually cannot have a sustainable creative process without inspiration and without regular inspiration. So, um, I want to start by defining what I mean by inspiration, because I'm not necessarily talking about those lightning strikes that come where you're like, oh my gosh, I know how this story should go, or yes, I have this idea that I can't wait to get down. I mean, those are fantastic, and I think that's exactly what people are saying when they say not to rely on inspiration. But when I'm talking about inspiration, I think what I would define it as is a more long term kind of mindset around your creative process. And I think of it as two things. It's a sense of hope along with a sense of life. And so what that means is that you feel the kind of the life force of your project, of whatever it is that you're creating, of your story. And I think if you're a writer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're any kind of artist, you know what I'm talking about. There is that kind of juicy life that comes when you think about your project, when you're excited about it. And whether or not that is something that's like super heightened, like when you're just so excited you can't stop yourself from writing, or whether it's just a little bit there, like there's enough life to know that this story still has some kind of meaning for you. I think that life force is absolutely crucial. And I know this because when it's not there, when you don't have that, there is nothing in the world you can get yourself. There's nothing that will make you sit down and write. It's like the story has lost any kind of potential. Which brings me to the second aspect of inspiration, which is honestly hope. It's faith. It's trust. I think that life force is very exciting, but what makes it inspiration in the long run is a sense that it can actually be done. If you're just having the life force itself is just the feeling of being excited about something, and that can kind of be true of being excited about anything or thinking something's cool. But this sense of hope and agency, which is to say, I don't necessarily know how I'm going to do it, I don't know how it's going to get done, but somehow I believe that this thing can be created, that there is a way to bring it into the world. That is absolutely crucial for inspiration. If you don't actually believe that it can be done, there is nothing driving you to do it. And so I think those are the two crucial parts of inspiration. It is life and faith. Um, and that will bring me next up to what I think you actually have to do to create and sustain inspiration. What does it mean to live an inspired life, or to have an inspired creative process? But I'm going to leave that for the next video, so stay tuned.